My name is Alan Journet. I'd like to welcome you all to this general monthly meeting of SOCAN. As you can see, our topic is going to be climate conscious fire recovery, the role of local cities and Oregon's Energy Trust. And before I introduce the speakers, I do want to acknowledge Gary Clarida. Maybe Gary, you'd wave your hands.
I can wave my hand.
Okay, Gary is the leader of SOCAN's fire recovery project, and it was Gary's idea to pull this program together, and we thank Gary very much, as well, of course, as thanking our speakers. We're going to have two speakers, as you can see on the screen, and I'm going to introduce them both to begin with. Before the program, so that they can, so Michael, who's going first, can just pass on to Karen. But a few Zoom tips before we actually start the program. At the top of your screen, if you click on View Options and then select Side by Side, you might find yourself with a better view. We are going to be dealing with questions at the end of the two presentations. And what we'd like you to do is to write your questions into the chat, which you will see at the bottom of your screen. Open that up and send the questions either to everyone or to Laurie Kaplan. And Laurie is going to be going through the questions at the end of the presentations before we get to the final section of the program, which will be Kathy going through what SOCAN is doing of late. Please stay muted during the program. This presentation will be recorded, so if you or somebody you know wants to see it, either again or for the first time, it will be posted ultimately on the SOCAN YouTube channel. And I think Kathy is now, oh, I thought she was going to put the address into the chat, but she hasn't. Okay, so let me introduce our fine speakers. The first speaker is going to be Michael Hoch. Michael is currently the Sustainability and Parks Coordinator with the City of Talent. He's been working on energy and sustainability focused projects in Talent for the last 2.5 years. Now, his current role is which he's been in for 2 years, is the city's energy efficiency coordinator via the resource, and before that, I should say, he was the city's energy efficiency coordinator via the Resource Assistance for Rural Environmental RARE program, which was run by the University of Oregon. Since the fire, Michael has been partially reassigned to help the Community Development Department to help expedite and rebuild the city. He's the lead for single-family residential rebuilds and the debris removal process. On top of that, he is still moving forward with the city's energy-focused projects. Please welcome Michael to give us some updates on city operations. Following Michael, we'll hear from Karen Chase. Karen is a resident of the Illinois Valley, where she first experienced fire evacuation during the infamous Biscuit Fire of 2002. That fire burned more than 500,000 acres and served as a harbinger for what has happened since then and what is likely to come. She has been the Energy Trust of Oregon Outreach Manager for Southern Oregon since 2014. Previously, she worked for 24 years in Oregon state government and is currently a building operators certification instructor, teaching courses on indoor environmental quality and sustainable building operations. Demonstrating her diversity of interests, Karen is a board member of Oregon Caves National Monument Preserve and Chateau, Siskiyou Field Institute, the Illinois Valley Community Development Organization, and the Josephine Housing and Community Development Council. And if you add all those up, Karen can't be as old as that. It's not possible. Karen promotes the motto on a poster in the lobby of the old Oregon Department of Energy office stating, "Saving energy saves everything." Could be the SOCAN motto. So I'm going to pass over to Michael. We'll stop sharing screen and Michael will start.
Hello, can you guys hear me? Perfect. Well, thank you for the introduction, Alan. That was wonderful. I just wanted to start off with my talk to kind of tell you guys how the fire ended up changing a lot of our operations around here, and then how I ended up slowly weaving energy back into my day-to-day activity. So, as you guys all know, there we go. The Alameda Fire started September 8th, and it was on the same day we had red flag wind warnings. We had some gusts up to 50 miles an hour to 55 miles an hour. And the overall Alameda Fire ended up burning 3,200 acres and destroyed 3,000 plus structures. This picture over on the right is me doing some mandatory evacuation on the south side of town. And this photo is actually from when the sheriff told me that my street was on fire and I actually had to leave. So I took this photo and then ended up sending it to my family and said, hey, we got a little situation going on. So that was the one photo I took on that day. But to give you guys an update of what kind of happened in the city of Talent, on the right side, you guys can see the fire zone of the Alameda Fire. You can kind of see Talent right in the middle of that. Our best estimates as the community development department tried to go to each tax lot and do some estimates of total buildings destroyed. These were the numbers that we ended up getting. So there's about 70 units for commercial, 305 units for manufactured homes, 74 for multifamily, and then 336 for single family residential, and then 7 that fell into other categories. But overall, that was about 40% of Talent that was destroyed by the fire. The days after the fire, this is what Talent kind of looked like. So this is what 505 or 515 AQI looks like. So my first task, being the parks coordinator, was to go out and assess the trees to see what was burnt and what wasn't, and try to really get a value of what was our property that was damaged. This didn't last long because it was hard to see the tops of the trees, and it was hard to really get full estimates of everything, unfortunately. But after that cleared out, we could kind of see the destruction of Talent and all the trees that ended up coming down. This was a really beautiful lemon cypress tree that was about 120 years old, which completely blocked a street and then also blocked part of Talent Avenue. So originally our first concern was that our essential workers couldn't get everywhere due to downed trees and everything. Luckily for Talent, they did not know that I used to run a SAW program for the Trail Keepers of Oregon, which is known as TKO, and then also a SAW program for the Pacific Crest Trail Association, or PCTA, and still to this day teach my favorite class, which is Intro to Crosscut Saws. So our first concern before we could even think about energy was obviously safety for our talent residents. This led me to call some of my friends in the SAW program. So this is actually the Oregon State Parks and Rec SAW instructor for the whole entire Oregon, helping me out, trying to clear some trees so then we could get water back to people and get electricity back to people. We had Pacific Power and Avista people out there also with saws, but out of the estimates, we had about 10,000 trees that were down. And we needed to get out 1,000 of them or so before we could access all the areas in the burn area. So with all that said, this kind of makes sense why I had to pause on some of my energy projects right at the start and really do try to figure out what the best way I could help rebuild Talent. And I ended up running a chainsaw crew for about 2.5 weeks with a buddy, this guy from Oregon Parks and Rec, and then somebody else from the PCTA who's actually located in Southern Oregon. After that, the first important thing to do was to coordinate with FEMA and try to figure out how to get rid of all this hazardous waste. This is a photo that one of my friends took that is absolutely stunning, and just wanted to share it with you guys. Because you can see this car actually was just dropped off into Talent about 10 minutes before the fire, and then ended up not making it through. But as you can see, all the waste behind it had to go. So my next role was to coordinate with FEMA and educate people in Talent on how to participate in that cleanup, or to do the cleanup on the private side, which led me to my next role, which was doing the debris removal permits and also doing the single family rebuilds and that are in process. So as you can tell, the lot on the left looks a lot different from this previous shot, which is what we had to do, and basically needed to locate and track all that debris stuff. And then over on the right, you guys can see that some of the houses are starting to get rebuilt, which is really lovely to see. To date, I've done over 225 debris removal permits out of the 600 lots that are there, and then also done about 70 single family residential rebuilds out of the 336 total. But with all this said, this got me thinking, and got me trying to figure out how to incorporate energy efficiency back into Talent. And the first project that I wanted to reincorporate back was our EV charging station grant. We were awarded a grant in 2019 from Pacific Power for $100,000. And the fires obviously delayed that for us. But once we got all these programs in motion, I was able to slowly incorporate these projects back into my normal day-to-day activities. So this first grant, we're going to get one level 3 EV fast charger, which could charge a car 80% in about 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then 3 level 2 ports. And these are going to be located on Seaver Street, which is right below or right behind the Camelot Theater, and then right by the roundabout with only 2 entrances, which is not really a roundabout. Our second project that I was able to incorporate pick back up was our Oregon Clean Power Solar Plus project. This is going to be a 75 kilowatt system that was partially community funded with Talent residents. So part of this project is going to be located at the City Hall complex, which will allow our City Hall building and our community center building to become net zero. It will have enough solar power there so that we could get rid of all our gas there as well. And there will also be a battery located at that site, which will give us a nice little microgrid and give us some resiliency, which is something that has popped back up after the fire. For example, if we had this project before, we could have charged our phones, we could have used the fridges that were on the community center, but without those solar panels and with the battery, we don't get that resiliency. The other part of that project, we're still trying to find a location for it, but I would like to locate it by the dog park in a solar shade structure that we can tie into our police station and also get some added resiliency there as well. The third project, and one of my favorite projects, is ETO's SEM program, which is their Strategic Energy Management Program. And this uses data-driven analysis on demand-side energy reduction. And that sounds very complicated, but realistically, we make energy models for buildings. I implement energy efficiency operations there, and then look to see how that deviates from the expected energy usage. This program we've had a lot of success in. Last year, we were able to cut, I think, 64% of the natural gas in our public works facility by doing one behavioral change or two behavioral change, which was a training on bay door management. And then which means that our public works facility like to open up the bay door instead of the normal door, which allowed a lot of heated air to escape. The second thing was that we realized they were opening up these bay doors quite a bit, so they could get stuff they were using every single day. So we ended up moving the daily materials, i.e. a lawnmower, leaf backpack blower or something like that, to the non-heated section. So then you didn't lose all that energy in the shop. And just those two trainings, which took about 15 minutes, and two energy audits, one in the summertime, one in the wintertime, really saved a lot of thousands of dollars for talent. And that saving of thousands of dollars definitely continues onto this year, which is great. The next program that talent is very excited about is Energy Trust of Oregon's Communities programs. And that is where Karen Chase will be coming up next. But if any of you guys would like to contact me and learn a little bit more about this, feel free to write down my email and put SOCAN in the message, and I can follow up with you guys. I do get thousands or hundreds of emails and calls each day, so apologies if it takes a little while to get back to you, but I will get back to you eventually. On that note, I'm going to pull up Karen's conversation. Well,
thank you, Michael. And thanks for asking me to join you this evening. And I also just want to say thanks to Gary and to Kathy and Alan for setting this up. It's really a pleasure to have an opportunity to tell people what we've been doing around fire and fire rebuilding. I am Energy Trust Senior Outreach Manager, and for the past 5 months or so, I've also been the point person for assisting our communities and customers in the aftermath of these multiple 2020 fires, and directing them to our technical staff and services and other resources for more information. We recognize that rebuilding is not just about attempting to replace what we had and maybe even try to set the world right for a minute, but also an opportunity to make us better prepared for the next thing, which we know is coming. So improving our resilience. Many people are interested in rebuilding in ways that are more energy efficient and more durable and resilient and less costly to operate, more comfortable, more suitable to the kinds of climate and weather-related challenges we're facing and will face in the future. The main takeaway from this presentation this evening is that Energy Trust is a resource for the communities and residents to help rebuilding be as energy efficient and energy smart as possible. I'll provide an overview of Energy Trust and then cover some of the fire rebuilding activities and relevant community programs, and then give some more detail on our new home construction program. Go ahead, next slide. We are a mission-based nonprofit collaborating with utilities and others to deliver significant clean energy benefits in Oregon. Our success is measured in kilowatt hours of electricity saved or produced with renewable energy, therms of natural gas saved, and efficient and effective delivery of services to utility customers. In Jackson County, we serve the utility customers of Pacific Power and Avista. Next slide. Here's a map of our service areas, color-coded to specific utilities that we serve. We serve almost 3/4 of Oregon's electric utility customers and almost all of Oregon's gas utility customers. Next slide. We work with each utility to ensure energy efficiency is the first fuel they use to meet their customers' energy needs. Energy efficiency is the kilowatt hour of electricity or therm of natural gas not used. It's a low cost and reliable resource. It remains the least expensive energy resource Oregonians can buy. This affordable energy supply helps utilities avoid investment in new and more expensive energy resources, and it keeps the money we save circulating in our own economy. Over the first 18 years of our work, with $2 billion invested into serving 750,000 Oregon homes and businesses, Oregonians have saved almost $4 billion on their utility bills, and the investment in savings is calculated to result in more than $8 billion added into our economy. Next slide. Since 2002, we in Oregon have saved the energy equivalent of the output of a power plant, an achievement with significant rewards for Oregon's economy and environment. This is enough energy to power half of the homes in Oregon and heat nearly all of the homes in Lane County alone. This work has also cut carbon emissions by 32.7 million tons, which is an updated number than what you see on the slide, which is equal to removing 7 million cars from the road for a year. Next slide. The outcome for Oregon communities and residents is an array of benefits for the economy and the environment: cleaner air, water savings, upgraded infrastructure, more comfortable homes with lower operating costs, and reducing carbon and working with communities in an equitable way to improve resiliency. Next slide. I'll now move into the kind of work we do. I'm not going to dive too deeply. If you have questions or want information, please do visit our website or shoot me an email. Our program areas cover both existing buildings and facilities and new construction. And the sectors cover the range of utility customers: residential, commercial of all kinds like retail, multifamily apartments and public buildings, industrial manufacturing, agriculture, and finally renewable energy. We are overseen by the Oregon Public Utilities Commission and serve the customers of those investor-owned utilities we already discussed. We work with a variety of partners, some of which are our community partners who also have a stake in or need for energy efficiency or renewable energy, or those organizations that also serve the same customers or underserved communities. We work closely, for example, with the Oregon Department of Energy, Oregon Housing and Community Services, the community action agencies, and others. And whenever possible, we also collaborate with these and other organizations like USDA Rural Development to leverage their offers and funding to a greater benefit. Next slide. Our work centers on arriving at the energy efficient measures and programs, along with corresponding cash incentives that meet the OPUC criteria for our use of the public purpose charge. We present these savings measures and programs to our customers, along with the corresponding cash incentives to encourage their adoption and implementation and help our customers gain easy access to these offers and programs. For access, we provide an array of online support, on-site support, technical assistance, a trade ally network, marketing and outreach. We also engage in a variety of research and development activities to determine the viability of savings approaches, such as feasibility studies and pilot programs. We utilize a network of contractors and professionals who work with our programs and offers and deliver much of the energy savings to our customers. This trade ally network consists of about 2,000 contracting businesses and professional allies in design, build, engineering, and architectural firms. Some of our trade allies suffered losses in the Alameda Fire. Trade allies complete a wider range of energy saving and renewable power projects in homes and businesses, from weatherization to HVAC contractors who put in your new heating and cooling system, to solar electric installations. They are up to date on the latest Energy Trust standards and help customers complete incentive applications. We provide resources, business development funds, and training to help these businesses build their companies. By utilizing the skills and expertise already in the market, we're supporting the growth of local businesses. We also have a strong team of field staff in Southern Oregon who are experts in their program areas, and I want to introduce them when I'm done here in just a few minutes. Next slide. For fire recovery, I'll drill down on the programs we think are most applicable to fire recovery and rebuilding. First, our new commercial and public sector programs. Energy Trust offers technical assistance and standard and custom cash incentives for new construction projects in the commercial sector, including early design assistance. And the new buildings program also offers solar technical support and cash incentives. Customers in the commercial sector should engage with us early in the process in order to receive the greatest cash incentive benefits. Our new building staff person here in Southern Oregon would be glad to just talk with businesses thinking about rebuilding and doing a kind of scoping meeting to help them get started in their process. There's no obligation ever. She will give you an idea of the areas in which we may be able to help and review qualified equipment and cash incentive details. Also, should a community or city decide to engage in some measure of master planning, we may be able to assist with a grant to help incorporate energy planning into that process. At this point, there have already been a handful of businesses that have contacted us for assistance in their post-Alameda Fire rebuilding efforts, including retail and other small businesses and a multifamily apartment building. And I've talked with Colleen Padilla at So Ready. When her new staff person to address commercial business recovery from fire comes on board in March, I will be working with him to support and outreach on available resources to the fire affected businesses. Our new homes or EPS program, I'll talk more about in a few minutes, more specifically. I want to talk about manufactured homes for a moment. In 2017, we launched a pilot program to help retire aging pre-1995 manufactured homes and replace them with energy efficient new manufactured homes. We sought to build partnerships in that process, particularly for joint funding opportunities to get this work done. Our limited pilot is currently offered to owner occupants of homes in nonprofit or resident cooperative parks. Later this year, we plan to expand this offer and broaden eligibility to include pre-1995 homes in both private as well as nonprofit parks, and also those on private land, with a sliding scale of incentives based on the age of the home and income. We recognize that a significant number of manufactured homes were destroyed in the 2020 fires across Oregon, and in particular in the Alameda Fire. And these were a source of affordable housing for many community members. We want to support owners of pre-1995 homes impacted by wildfire. All interested customers are encouraged to contact the program at the web address here to discuss options for participating now or upon the program expansion later this year. We continue to anticipate additional funding will be available through other housing funders such as OHCS, and we'll work to connect our customers with all available resources. Solar. We have cash incentives still available to reduce the upfront cost of putting solar power on your roof. If energy resilience is your goal, a solar plus battery storage system makes it possible for you to have electricity for important loads, even when the power goes out. We also offer technical support that helps you design your building to be solar ready and reduce the cost of a future solar installation. Homes, apartments, and businesses that remain standing after the fire may require renovations. Our existing homes program can be a resource to determine which upgrades will be the most energy efficient and offer the largest cash incentives. And finally, it's important for us to hear from communities about their needs and how we can support them. I can connect you to other staff at Energy Trust with specific expertise in our program offers. If we're not the right resource to support your needs, I'll try to find you connections to others who may be able to assist. We have some funds that can support communities that will be advancing projects that save or generate energy. And we and others are helping, for example, to support the Housing Authority of Jackson County to add expertise in rebuilding and preserving manufactured home parks and affordable housing destroyed by fire. Also, we've been honored to support a number of AmeriCorps placements from the Resource Assistance for Rural Environments, or RARE program, out of U of O in communities across Oregon, including the City of Talent. Thank you, Michael, to focus on energy for those communities. These AmeriCorps members have provided energy research, have written renewable energy grants, promoted energy programs to low-income residents, helped communities plan solar installations, engaged in energy planning, and in some cases have worked to save their cities thousands of dollars every year through energy efficiency measures. I'm always interested among my communities to talk to people who are interested in maybe placing an energy array. We looking toward the future. I want to talk about two things that we're working on for future resilience. We are researching fire resilient new home construction to determine which measures make the most sense and which of these are accessible to most people. Ideally, we will distill a list of measures that offer both fire resilience and also energy efficiency, and then we can explore the potential for incentivizing those measures. Also, in conjunction with the U of O Oregon Partnership for Disaster Resilience, we are working with a handful of counties across Oregon to help them plan energy resilience into their hazard mitigation planning process. Every county has a hazard mitigation plan. We recognize that energy is essential to maintaining life as we know it. We are assessing the role that energy plays and can play in hazard mitigation and disaster recovery. From this research, we hope to be able to help communities reduce hazard risks and establish viable and equitable disaster recovery options. Okay, next slide. So where do you start to find our resources? You can start on our website, and we have developed a rebuilding landing page. It's part of our communities page. If you go to the communities page, which is highlighted on the right-hand side in yellow, click there and scroll down to rebuilding from wildfire. Next slide. Finally, I'll provide some specific information about our New Homes Program, EPS. The question of added cost for energy efficiency always comes up. Our incentives to build above code are meant to offset the added cost of the efficiency measures. And we offer incentives for early design assistance meetings to help plan ahead, which is the best way to integrate low-cost measures that have a good return on investment, such as air sealing. Next slide. EPS provides incentives to builders who want to build healthy, energy efficient homes. It is a rating system that assesses the energy consumption and carbon footprint of newly built homes. The lower the score, the better. EPS is compatible with all programs and certifications, for example, Energy Star, Earth Advantage, and LEED. And it will work with any further certifications coming onto the market. Next slide. Let's run through some of the benefits of an EPS home. Comfort. For the occupants, this means a quieter, more comfortable home that is, for example, free from drafts. Health means a healthier home with less risk of air contaminants that would cause things like asthma or allergies. Durability. This means less risk from things like moisture damage and certainly less maintenance costs. And savings. Means superior energy performance, lower cost of ownership and operations, and a smaller carbon footprint. EPS works with independent third-party verifiers to support builders. The verifiers also create an energy model of the home and conduct verifications on the home while it is being built and when it is complete. Local verifier Fred Gant, who many of you know, is working closely with our EPS team and reaching out and supporting local builders who are taking part in the Alameda Fire rebuild. For Alameda Fire recovery homes, Fred has offered to waive his fee, which is a significant offer, and we thank him for that. We currently have about 31 homes in the EPS new home pipeline for Alameda Fire rebuilds, and the Alameda Fire rebuilding activity has brought 4 new builders into our EPS Trade Ally network. And last slide is our contact information. Michael, are you able? Yeah, there we go. That's actually a shot of the Slater fire, which everybody in Oregon has forgotten about because it was technically a California fire. But that's the one that affected us most severely in the Illinois Valley this last season. So I want to introduce some of the folks on our team here. I think Cheryl Lacombe, if you say hello, I think you'll come up to the front.
Hi, everybody. Great to be here. Thanks,
Thank
Karen.
you, Cheryl. Cheryl is our new homes program manager in this region. Brooke, I'm pretty sure I saw Brooke. Brooke is here. If she's still here. And anybody else? Did Dan come on?
Hey, I am here. Hi,
Hey,
everyone.
Dan. Great. I'm glad you made it. Dan Pierce is our existing homes expert. Anybody who's interested in our current incentives for upgrading current homes. We've got some terrific offers right now for rental properties, which has been a really hard market to engage with and encourage upgrades for. And he's got some offers too for insulation, fabulous offers for insulation and manufactured housing. So if you've got stuff in the existing home business, you want to talk to Dan. Anybody else on this line? Did Fred make it, or is Brooke back? Angeline? All right, well, there's your contact information. New commercial, want to talk to Angeline. And that's everything I have. Thank you all for listening for so long.
To Lori, who is going to pick up questions in the chat. And Lori, are you ready? Here she comes. All right, Lori, we're ready for you to go ahead and give us some of the questions that we have.
Okay, great. Yeah, somebody just rang my doorbell. I had to run away. It's totally unexpected. Yes, okay, great. Thank you. So the first question was, I think more from Michael about, I'm gonna make this bigger. One talent business owner who lost their whole business and 6 trucks told me that the huge cost for removal will mean that they have to go out of business because their insurance won't cover the removal. I hope there is a solution that doesn't wipe out small businesses. Do you know anything about that, Michael?
So unfortunately, I'm more focused on the single family residential side opposed to the commercial. I know that as a public employee, we don't get involved on private matters. So a private company and private insurance, we can't give expertise on that.
Mm-hmm.
But it was to my knowledge that we could get everybody signed up for the FEMA route, which we did contact every single business owner or tax lot owner that was in the fire zone, commercial, multifamily, single family. So I'd say that'd be the best route, and that was the recommended route from the City of Talent.
Okay, great. Also, from Roe Lewis, what happened to the wood from the downed trees?
There was a lot of stuff. So, well, some of it I've been whittling into spoons, but that's a very, very small part of it. Most of it, we property owners were able to take their burnt trees, and a lot of them are using it for firewood. We did drop off a whole bunch to Jackson County. I'm going to get it wrong. Jackson County Fuel Committee.
That's it.
There we go. But yeah, then the 0.001% I've been making into spoons.
Okay, you get a lot of spoons.
Yep, keeping me busy.
Great. And Ray Millette asks, does Energy Trust of Oregon only work with investor-owned utilities?
Yes, we only work with the utilities that are overseen by the Oregon Public Utilities Commission. So that list that was up on the screen. So for Oregon, that includes Portland General and Pacific Power, are the electrics. And on the gas side, are Avista, which is our company down here in Southern Oregon, and Cascade Natural Gas on the east side, and Northwest Natural Gas, which serves parts of Coast and Northern Oregon.
So in Ashland, which is served by Ashland Electric.
Avista serves Ashland. So people in Ashland, if they have Avista, they are certainly able to utilize our incentives to upgrade on the gas side. But Ashland Electric has its own incentives on the electric side. So it's like, don't despair. Go talk to Ashland Electric. They're a fine outfit, and they'll help with other things. I'll just mention as an aside, Ashland Electric was the first company in Oregon to do a community solar project. I don't know if some of you remember that, but they put panels on their public works roofs. Maybe I'm not going to remember this right, but somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 years ago. And they were worried at the time that they wouldn't sell the power. And what's happened with solar since then. They had no difficulty in getting subscribers. So yeah, they're very advanced.
Great. Are new manufactured homes more fire resistant than older ones?
That's a good question. I don't know. They're better built than older ones. I suppose just from the durability aspect that it's possible that they are more fire resistant, but I've not looked at it from that angle. It's a good question. I'm gonna write it down and have our manufactured housing people give me an answer for the next time I'm asked.
Yeah, are they more energy efficient, do you think?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
by leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we support a special more energy efficient, 2 levels of energy efficiency in manufactured homes that go beyond the as-built standard manufactured home. And the first is Energy Star. First level of better energy efficient in manufactured homes is you want to buy one that is Energy Star rated. Above that is a certification called NEEM, all capitals, NEEM, with a plus sign. And that is that's a standard that has been years in the research and making process, and it is highly energy efficient. That's the most energy efficient new manufactured home you can buy. And we have an incentive for those as well.
Great.
A standard incentive beyond the incentives that we're working on for fire recovery and disaster recovery.
Okay, great. The next question is from Alan Hallmark, and this could go to Michael or to Karen. What if lot owners want to build back on the cheap? Can the city require them to incorporate energy efficiency for rebuilds? And I'll kind of tag onto that question. Is that something that is even being discussed in the city council?
Yeah, so I'll start off with this and maybe Karen can help out a little bit. So this is one of the aspects of being a wildfire victim, is that you have special priorities to rebuild like for like. So if you were in a non-conforming situation before, you are allowed to be back to that non-conforming status as long as you regress back to the mean of conformity. You will be fine. So i.e., for example, if a setback was, in our law, was 5 feet, but you were approved at 4 feet before, you can build back to that 4 feet. We would like you to build back to that 5 feet setback, but we don't have any say for that if it was approved before. So when I found that out, me and Karen started talking during a town hall meeting, and we were trying to figure out a way that we could try to help talent rebuild better, faster, stronger, and more resilient. My master's I did over in London, and this is not the same in European areas, that they had to go back to conformity. In the US, you're allowed to stay out of conformance post natural disaster. So that made me thinking. I studied economics, so incentives drives everything. And that's what we're kind of about, getting ETO involved in this and trying to help encourage people to rebuild more resiliently and more energy efficiently, because why not? Let's not do this again. So that was kind of my little thinking. Then Karen, if you want to add anything, please do.
Thank you, Michael. I'll just add that this is exactly what our incentives are intended to influence. If our incentives will encourage someone to not build a run-of-the-mill or something that they had, 30 years ago. That's what we want to see them do. And we're willing to buy those to pay for that energy efficiency through our incentives.
Mhm.
A couple of other things I'll mention with that is, while there's some relaxing of the building code to go back, to build something that was there in 1950, in all reality, it's not going to happen. You can't buy that stuff anymore, for one. I'll just point to lighting. You're not going to be installing incandescent lights because that's what was there when you built the house in 1950. You're going to be putting LEDs in. So there's a real practical way of looking at that relaxation as well. People are going to build what makes sense. And if we can help them make sense of improved energy efficiency, we are encouraging through our incentives to have them build beyond the code.
Mhm.
And I'm going to ask Cheryl if there's anything you want to add to that, Cheryl.
No, I think you captured it really well, Karen. There's a lot of, it doesn't make sense for builders to go back and stop building the way they're already building. That's more expensive. So a lot of this talk about being able to build to a lesser code might only come up in some of the efficiencies. And so that's why we're definitely being proactive in getting out there and making sure they know about our incentives. There's no need for it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, we've got a few more questions here, so let's see if we can pack them all in, because I think we have to stop our question period at 6:50, according to Kathy. Do you play a role in trying to convince owners of large warehouses to put solar on their roofs, ETO?
I would say no, we don't play a role in convincing people to do something. I think we're also busy just trying to handle the people who want to do something already. I think that's enough to keep up with. I think contractors might be out there encouraging that, and those contractors may be trade allies with us, and that we're not out soliciting business. I guess that's what I would say. We're more interested in educating, in presenting information to encourage people to do the right thing, to make smart energy choices. But yeah, we're not out, we're not pitching or arm twisting. That's certainly not our role.
Okay, that makes sense. Does ETO have incentives and or programs for renters? Because sometimes there's that disconnect where, the landlord has to incur the cost, but the tenant would get the benefits. So there's a misalignment of incentives that people struggle with on rent, with rental properties. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, Lori, that's a really good way of putting it. It has been a tough market to address, and we've had to work hard these last few years to really come up with incentives that speak to both things, so that benefit renters who tend to be lower income, and yet the incentive, the upgrades are typically paid for by the owner. So we have come up with some pretty good incentives. And Dan, if you're still on the line, do you want to just take a moment to mention some of those? And Kathy, I sent you a couple of those slides. You could always put those up on your website as well. So I've got a couple of slides that Dan provided to me that outline a couple of two different things. One are the rent. Oh, Dan, you're there. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So a couple of our increased incentives I definitely want to highlight here. We've got a ductless heat pump incentive when you're replacing electric resistance heaters in your home. So that actually varies from $1,750 to $2,000 to install.
And that's for rental properties, right?
Yes, it is. It should cost cover about 50% of that cost there to get that installed. So that's kind of one of our highlight one. Another great incentive that we have available right now is for attics that have less than R11 in them. We've got a $1.25 per square foot incentive that can pretty much cover the cost of the project there. depending on how much the actual contractor or trade ally is charging. But yeah, I would definitely look into those ones because those are kind of top-notch ones that are available right now.
So
Thank you, Dan.
if somebody went on your website and did a little searching around, they'd be able to come up with that?
Oh yeah.
Great. Okay, because I'm supposed to tie this off, but and I'm giving you a bit of a meaty question here that might be hard for you to do quickly. How much are you focused in, people's desire to wean our communities off natural gas? And one of the things that prompted me on this is the EPS, your EPS thing, which I think is really exciting. You talk about carbon footprint, and so just looking at this quickly, I'm not sure whether you're considering methane and helping people who want to get rid of, not have methane in their homes or, in the atmosphere, since it's so much more damaging than carbon. So since you work with Avista and other gas companies, how involved are you in supporting people in trying to eliminate natural gas from our fuel system?
We're actually not. I can absolutely understand, the genesis of your question, but natural gas actually makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. And it's not, we are fuel neutral. What we do with the gas companies is the same thing we do with the electric companies, which is to encourage their customers to use less overall. And, I'll just say that, if you consider the electric side, a lot of our electricity is coming from coal. It just isn't burned here in Oregon. So, I think we're all in this together. And I think the importance of becoming more energy efficient, developing better renewable energy resources, and moving all of us together equitably is really the right path.
Okay. And if Kathy will bear with me, there was one other question about the propane tanks that I think a lot of the manufactured homes in Talent were using, and how much that contributed to the fires. And Michael, you might be able to best speak to that.
I'm sorry, you just cut out for a second. Can I get that again?
Oh, sorry. The propane tanks in Talent, how much did they contribute to the spread of the fires?
I am unsure about that. I know that FEMA was in their phase 1. They were marking a lot of the propane tanks because they could be dangerous with when the metal heats up to 10,000 degrees. Sometimes the walls are a little more rusty and a little bit more are not durable, and they could cause a threat to it. But with my experience, I didn't really see a lot of propane tanks exploded. I just saw them a lot very crispy and whatnot. But I do know that all of them were tagged as hazardous materials because once natural gas, once the metal heats up to about 10,000 to 15,000 degrees, chemicals are mixing together, and they're not straight natural gas, they're not straight titanium metal, and that causes more issues on the back end. So apologies for not knowing that, but I'll try to get some research on that if FEMA ever contacts me back.
when you're not dealing with your 100 emails per day, right?
Yeah, or whittling my spoons on my time off.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, Karen. Kathy, I'll turn it back to you.
All right. So what I've done is I've made a web page on SOCAN's website with contact information. So if you want details and you didn't catch an email or something, if you go to socan.eco/action, on the top, you're going to see kind of the center collective action, and then there's the heading fire recovery. Just click on that and it'll take you to some different links. So if you want more about renters or mobile homes or things like that, the information is there, as well as the contact information for both Karen and Michael, as well as the rest of Karen's team. That's all there. So what I'm going to do is quickly share with you some of the SOCAN events that are coming up, as well as events from other groups that we connect with. And everything I tell you is on the SOCAN website, socan.eco/events, if you miss a detail and you want to know more about it. I want to start with, we have redesigned our, what we call our wheel. And what we're doing is we have different programs, and then we have projects under those programs. So we're just starting with this, and excited to have Steve Verme do the design for us on our new wheel. So the program areas that we've identified are education, government, natural resources, transportation, and community engagement. And so events we have coming up, SOCAN Leadership Circle, that's where we talk about different projects. And so the leaders of those projects come together, but anybody's welcome to join us if you're interested in seeing the kinds of things we're doing or have ideas to share. That'll be Wednesday, March 10th. And then looking at our education program, the Master Climate Protector, it's a 10-week course, and it's already started for this year. We just finished our 3rd course. These are our sponsors, and so we like to recognize them and the financial support that they offer. Under the government program, we have the federal and state project, and their next meeting will be March 8th. And we're putting the links to the meetings on the SOCAN calendar. So if you just go to the calendar and click on the event, you'll get the link to it. Alan's the contact person if you want more information about that. Another program under the, or another project under the government program is Ashland Climate Action Project. So if you live in Ashland, if you want to support climate action in the Ashland community, contact Lori and she'll put you on the email list so you'll get updates of things that are happening. The County and City Project is a new project that's just forming in the government program. And so this group is going to have the 2nd meeting on Thursday, March 11th. And anybody's welcome to join this group to see the kinds of things that they might focus on. Under the Natural Resources Program, the Forest and Fire Project will meet on Wednesday, March 17th, and Gary Clarida is the person to talk to if you want information. Misspelled, sorry about that. We have a project called Sustaining Climate Activists. This is under the Community Engagement Program. And this is a monthly support group for people addressing climate change issues, which we know can be very distressing. The facilitators are Liz Olson and Ken Devaney, and anybody's welcome to join us. And the Liz's contact is on the calendar as well as the link to this gathering. We also have a group called Coastal SOCAN, and since we're all on Zoom, we can join them in their meetings more easily now. Their next meeting is March 17th, and Liz Olson is going to talk about the toll that concern about climate change has on people and identifying coping mechanisms. The March meeting for SOCAN, we meet monthly on the last Tuesday of the month, and the focus is going to be on the importance of social equity in climate action. And Cecilia Estelano is going to be part of that presentation. It'll be on Tuesday, March 30th. Now, just like this one, for monthly meetings, registration is required. And so that's not on the calendar today, but it should be on there tomorrow. Another project we have in the community engagement area is businesses taking action. And the businesses listed here have taken the time to fill out the form on what they're doing to be more sustainable in an environmental way and a social justice way. And so we encourage you to support these groups, look at the website, which is on the bottom, and see what they're doing. And if you're part of a business or know a business that's doing things in environmental sustainability or social justice, and there's links to the form. Encourage them to participate in this project. These are other projects that I haven't mentioned yet. In the education program, we have Climate in the Classroom, presentations, and the Oregon Legislative and Congressional District projects. In the transportation area, we have transit equity. In natural resources, there's water management and conservation, and also offshore wind. And then in the community engagement program, there's also the fire recovery, which is responsible for the program tonight. And a big thanks to Gary for that, as well as the Media Corps. Just a couple of other groups that you might be interested in. ROCPAC is Rural Oregon Climate Political Action Committee, and the link is there, and they help us bring up issues related to climate change in the legislature. The Wild and Scenic Siskiyou Film Festival is this Friday, and this is sponsored by not only the Wild and Scenic Siskiyou Film Festival, but KS Wild and Rogue Riverkeeper. And each of those Facebook pages have more information on the film festival. And then there's a group called Go Clean Energy, and they are having a presentation. And this is one of those advantages of being on Zoom. It's going to be presented by Oregon Health Authority and 350 Eugene. It'll be on Tuesday, March 2nd. And on SOCAN's Facebook page, there's a link to this so you can get the registration information. So I want to say a big thanks to Michael and Karen for presenting tonight, and also to all the team members, Karen, that joined us. We really appreciate them all being here. And thanks to Lori for helping us with the questions, and also she had the backup in case our unstable internet started acting up. For Gary in his leadership on the fire recovery project, and it's more than the presentation tonight, there's a lot of action trying to get more sustainable construction as we come back from the fires. And thanks to all of you for joining us. We appreciate that you're here, that you're willing to take some time out of your evening to join us. We have a survey, and I'll send an email out hopefully in about 5 minutes after we finish. If you would fill that out, that helps us get a sense of how effective we're being and things we can do differently. The SOCAN website is at socan.eco. And if you have questions about SOCAN, info@socan.eco is one of many ways to get a hold of us. And I'm told I always should mention that we appreciate any financial support that anybody's able to make. So with that, I would like to finish and thank you again for being with us tonight, and hope that you will share some of the ideas you heard with others. And oftentimes those that were caught by the fire don't have the ability to spend an hour at a session like this, but if you can share information with them, that's very helpful to them and also to make a change in our communities. So thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to seeing you in other activities. Good night.